he passed away. I'm so grateful I got those 8 years with him. I only wish I had more time. He loved his son. I loved my mom. My mom was getting a stent put in her heart. She was at the hospital, and I had my son, and I went to go pick her up. I know that when my son went out the door of that hospital, I pick him up, and I turn around, and I see my mom's big, beautiful eyes looking down the hallway at us, This felt like she was just so proud of who she saw. Just before she passed away too, man, because she passed away 11 months later after my dad. It was hard. It was just, man, like that, dealing with those emotions and like just thrown, like I walked through it, man. You just walk through it. You cry, you're sad, but you get through it, man.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Journey to Solutions podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life who overcome the impossible. We shine light on one simple truth: no matter your past, no matter your pain, with the power of God, anything is possible. Today, we've got a very special guest, dear friend of mine, who's been on a lot of big podcasts like Soft White Underbelly, which to me is the #1 YouTube channel in the world when it comes to storytelling for people in recovery, people in addiction, people with crazy stories. He's been on another big podcast called the No Jumper podcast, right? It's called No Jumper. And the host's name is?
And the host is named Adam22.
Adam22. And you've been on just so many podcasts.
John Michael, yeah.
A lot,
Connect, yeah. Lots of
big podcasts all over. And, you work in recovery, you are in recovery, you're a family man, you're a man of God, you're a man of service. I always see you, sharing your time, whether it's meeting, service, helping people, you're just always on the go and stuff like that. And, I admire that about you. You're very humble. And I think a lot of times people get on these big shows, big opportunities, whatever it is. And people get a little weird, a little strange, a little prideful, right? A little stuck up. And you never forgot where you came from. So I just want to introduce Garet, the one that I always spell your name wrong, Garet McLendon.
Yeah.
Garet, I got it right.
Garet McLendon, 1 R, 1 T.
What's the last? What is that? Like German? Is it Russian? What are you?
Irish.
German,
Irish background. I'm sure there's many more things. Thank you for such a fantastic, opening up. And yeah, I just love getting this stuff out, and being able to, like, it's the opportunities that have come across for me by stepping up and doing these podcasts is just, it's unmanageable, man. I like, my life is, I really enjoy going out and speaking and carrying a message of depth and weight, I like to tell people, man, I just like to be an inspiration, man. I really, man, like, there's something that happens when I'm sitting in a seat like this, one-on-one with you, doing a podcast, or when I'm on a stage speaking to, hundreds or 1,000 people, and there's something that just happens, man. Like, it's that language of the heart, and I think the more that I'm able to speak about it, and the more I'm able to because more gets revealed, more stuff comes up, and the more I'm able to, like, put that message in the air, the more that hurt, or that degrading, that self-loathing, all that stuff that I did, man, just loses power, It just loses power. It's a lot of it's just like what it was like, what it was like, it's something that, like, oh my God, like, maybe some people have a therapist, so, some people, have all these different methods. And to me, I got podcasts, I get to come here, and I get to share about stuff that I and to open and honestly and just put myself out there, man, and just and that stuff just loses its power over, because it's you have to shed some of that. You have to shed some of this stuff in order to grow out there in the real world, and I'm all about growing, spiritually, physically, and mentally, man. Is just like that growth, man, and the work that comes to it, man.
So let me ask you that. Like, I think a lot of times people have a hard time with being vulnerable to that extent of, like, going on podcasts, going on social media, speaking at different events aside from just an AA meeting, like outside stuff. Like, for you, why do you find it important for you to spread your message more than just in a meeting, right? More out there. And how do you get to a place of someone's like, man, I really want to do that, but I'm just afraid for people to know all that stuff in public. Like in meetings, it's okay because I feel safer there because they get it. It's in a meeting. How did you work through that fear of like being like, you know what, I don't care if the world knows?
I didn't do a podcast until I was 10 years sober. And that 10 years sober, I jumped on, a few of them. Soft White Underbelly was like, one of the first major ones I did. And I did a lot of service work in a lot of places and sharing and stuff like this. And I don't know, for a person like me, and I had a real bad speech impediment. I'm still to this day. I have no education, and I didn't have no education. I was really bad at speaking and doing all this stuff. I get in these relationships, and these girls would just correct every word and how I said it. There, they. Like you can't say it like that. Salmon.
Yeah.
I said like. But I think this is that everybody has a story, a message, and that some of us, man, are able to enable. Some of us are able to carry it out. I don't think it's any part of me that like I'm still shy. I'm still timid. I still don't like that spotlightness and all that stuff. I still get my words still get crumbled. When I'm on the spot and stuff like this. But there is something, and that something I think is just God using me as a vessel, and for me to carry a message for these people to hear out there. Because there's something that happens when I'm on a podcast that it's no longer like me thinking about what I'm saying. It's like God directed my words to be able to carry a message, to these people who are listening to podcasts like this, to let them know that it doesn't matter how far down the scale you have gone, that anybody, and my level of scale and how far I gone down is it could be worse. It's not the worst. It's not by no means is the how much like where I was at and everything. It's just I'm able to voice this, and let and letting you know that story, this stuff that I thought was so bad that happened in my life is like I'm not unique. I'm not just like this one guy out here in the world that this happened to. There's many people out there that grew up in the same circumstances, if not worse, who've been to the same places if not worse, who've been in the families like mine, if not worse, and of course always better. But I'm just here to let you know that I get some kind of healing. I get something that happens. That there's a healing that happens, man, when you're able to write about it, speak about it, and just be able to let that stuff not carry that power over you, man. That the words that people can come at you and say like, oh, but you did all this time in prison, or you were this piece of shit. I was all that stuff, man. But it's just not who I am today. Today I'm here to be an inspiration to the many addicts and alcoholics who are out there, or who guys are convicts who are coming out of prison, or for the family, man, for the dads, and for all the people out there, man. Like I'm just here to let you guys know that it's possible. That I'm just a normal. I'm just like one of your average guys out there, who work and who take care of his family, and a single dad out there taking care of his kid, with a and who fell back in love with life, man. And for a very long time, it seemed like I didn't love life. I didn't want nothing to do with life. I didn't think I would ever live this, far in life, and now like something happens, man. Like I get to be an inspiration, man. And I love, I love inspiring people, and it's like, man, I just, God gave me another chance at life, man. And I'm just so grateful for that opportunity, man.
How much time do you have sober now?
I got 12 years.
So 12 years.
Yeah.
So 12 years at year 10 when you started going out more publicly, right?
I did.
So the past 2 years,
yeah.
and which is amazing, and how in 2 years you've already had so many amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. And that just lets people know it's like your story is your superpower.
Yeah.
Nobody can take that from you because that's your truth. And your story helps people heal. Your story helps you heal. right? Because when you put it out there, I always say that's why Eminem was so successful back in the day.
Yeah.
He was the first person to say, I'm white trash. I live in a trailer park, you know, like, what do you got on me? And they're like,
And Cheddar Bob set himself in his foot.
yeah, you know? So it's
that's like my favorite motto. Like when I go out to speak and I
Yeah.
find myself in the bathroom, I still like reaches in. Like I know that's one thing is that somewhere along the way I built up this relationship with a higher power, or which I like to say God, and I find myself still like praying like in the bathroom before I go out on a stage, or before I hit a mic, or before like, man, I reach it, I tap into that power I have found here, man. I hope, man, that people tap into that power. You know, it's funny that is that I heard this thing, man, and for us, you know, for guys that are in recovery, or women too, is like they say that you know, we can work, you know, 40 to 70 hours a week, you know, for somebody, and a sponsor or somebody will tell us to read a book, you know, 2 pages of a book every morning, you know, and we don't have the time for it, you know. I find the time to I find the time, no matter how big and how boostful my life is, and how busy I am, and you know, and it gets, your life gets busy, you know. My life is very busy, you know, and but I always find that time in the morning to have myself a routine. And that routine is, you know, it's coffee, it's prayer, it's meditation, it's working out, it's no, it's that, you know, it's that, you know, day, that mind, body, soul, you know, that spirituality. It's like I that mind, body, and spirit, man. Like I got to exercise my mind, I got to exercise my spirituality, you know, and I got to, you know, exercise my body, you know, because with those 3 things, I think it's very important, and it does, and it's not something that you get right under your first 6 months or your year or something like that. I think it's something that over time, that a lot of the stuff, you know, that you're holding on to, or had a grip on you in life, like you start shedding it, you know, and you got to redevelop this new way to live, you know. It's my favorite thing, dude. I love, man. I'll break down the program really simple, man, and because I love program. It's 100% my life, you know. And I'll tell you that I didn't come here looking for God of my understanding, or wanting, you know, or wanting, you know, 12-step meetings. I didn't know nothing about any of that stuff, you know. And I know that at 2 years, I was at this retreat with my sponsor, and I was in this TP, and for the past couple of years, I did 18 months in a treatment facility. I didn't go. I couldn't do it on my own. I could not surrender, man. Like the Lord God, or whatever had to happen, like, you know, jail, institutions, like something had to physically remove me from where I was at and what I was doing, because I never would have been like, oh, I'm ready. I was never ready. I was just like, death is going to take me out, and by that, you know, and at 2 years, man, and a treatment in that 2 years, you know, it's just, and I love it, man. It's just, I'm shaving my head in the bathroom the only way I knew how to shave my head, and blood's everywhere. It's blood. I got towel wrapped around my neck, and I got towels on the floor, and the water steaming the small little bathroom. I got the little window open, and you know, and I got cut marks on my head, you know, because I'm going too fast or whatever. And this guy walks by, and he's like, man, he's like, what are you doing? You know, I'm like, I'm shaving. And he's like, hasn't anybody ever showed you how to shave before? And I was like, no. No, I self-taught. I grew up in the system, and in the system, I learned how to shave by watching other men inside there, you know, shave. I just copied. And he's like, is it all right if I show you how to shave? And I said, yeah. And this man commenced to show me something I already knew how to do, or I thought I knew how to already do. And I think in life, man, what it is that I'm unlearning. It's not a life of us gaining more. It's like gaining less, man. It's like less. And this man said to me, it was just like, am I able to teach you something that you already know? A new way to live, man. I'm living my life today just on a new way, like shredding the old ways, old thinking, all this old habits. I'm losing that stuff in my life, man, so I can learn a new way to live, man. The old ways and old doors and old way of thinking, all that stuff's not me for my future, man. And so like I have to constantly, and so like and what comes with that is maybe your friends, and maybe it's family members, and maybe it's stuff that you never thought you could live without or could be without, and maybe it's jobs, and maybe it's friendship, all this stuff, man. Because what happens is like you start, man, after time starts going by and you start doing this work, man, you really start thinking about like something you never thought about, man. For me, a future. Damn, you start setting goals. Like I wasn't a goal. I wasn't a goal setter, man. I didn't think about no future, and I especially didn't think, about being a father and having the future of something else, in my life, and so like that things change, and I'm just saying that I love every opportunity I ever get, to come and to be able to speak, some inspiring words, and just let people, man, it's like that's the best gift, man. That is like it's the best to me. It's like the number one. I just like I'm passionate about something in my life for once, and it's not passionate about chasing a bag or getting loaded, because I was passionate about that. Like I loved that cat and mouse game out there. I loved it, man. I loved that hustle. I loved that life, man. There was I can't sit here and be like I hated it. It was like, no, I loved it, man.
Why do you think you loved it so much?
Because that's all I knew. That's all. If that's all you know, you're going to do nothing but enjoy that living that way. I wasn't thinking of like how I was growing up and how traumatizing or maybe or all the bad habits. Like I loved the thrill. I love just being able to just like the getting away with something, a come up, a fast come, like just that, and yeah, that's where it went through,
So let me ask you this. I think a lot of people, you see it a lot, right? Whether it's in movies. What's that movie? Shawshank Redemption? Is that how you say it? Remember the scene? The guy gets out of prison, right? He's like working at a grocery store.
Yeah.
Right? And
then, paroled after 100 years, institutionalized. And then they find himself, he can't deal with the society, and he can't deal with, and that's the stuff that you have to shed. So that's what it is that like, how is a person that's institutionalized, I'm institutionalized still to this day. I'm still unlearning those things that I didn't even know I picked up along the way, because I had this set lifestyle that I went, and I grew, and like I still to this day, man.
Because you did what, like 17 years, right?
I was in and out for like 17 years, man, and more in than I was out, and like I don't, but still to this day, man, I find myself when I go into rooms or I go into events or something like that, I go into a corner of the room or a space in the room where I could see everybody in that
back to
room.
The wall,
back to the wall.
Yeah,
I'm so just like a hawk, man, just like observant of everything that's going on, to all the people, man, and to this institute, and the way I stand, to this day, and you don't know, you can't correct something that you're not aware of,
Yeah.
and so I have to like, and as I'm talking about, more gets revealed, right? And more these things come, and then and it's later on, like, so now I get to correct these things, like the way I stand when I'm in a prayer circle at a meeting, or when I'm with a group of people and I'm praying. It's like I'm taking a yard picture, just the way but I noticed these simple traits, like I literally have no tattoos.
Right.
Like I literally, people to this day, they don't think like, oh, this guy's been to prison or anything like that. They're like, oh, are you in the army? Are you a sheriff? Right. Are you what is it? All the time. I all the time I get that, like, service. Are you must be in the service, and and I no, and it's like I was raised by people who were in that, but I'm not, and I don't. I just, whatever. But like I have to unlearn all these traits about yourself, like the way I stood, the way I talked, the way I observed in a room, like all those things that you're not, like being this, like or tapping on the table before, like in a restaurant, and I on a table before I get up, like that's just the thing that you learn, actually, and I have to unlearn it. It's like what I have to unlearn these things, and it's not till they come up and I'm able to recognize them as I'm able to change them, and that's why more gets revealed, right? More gets revealed, and or something, and it's not these real big things, it's these really small things, man, that have the bigger impact,
No, that's good. Yeah, because I think a lot of times, right, you people get stuck in that cycle and they go back and they go back and they go back. Because you're right, right? You get institutionalized a certain way. I would say when you learn to exist in an environment for a long period of time, even if this next place is better for you, it's uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
And as we know, we don't like being uncomfortable, right? Discomfort is what we hate, and so we tend to go back to what's familiar. So you get out of prison, okay? So now you have a couple things, right? One, now you're battling, right? You're getting sober. So that's one battle you have, right? Trying to figure that out, right? Two, I think you said you had a daughter at this point, right? So your daughter, how old is she now?
She's 22.
Okay. And how old, what year was she born then?
She was born, don't let her see this video. No.
2000.
22, 23?
2003, you mean?
2003, yeah, 2003, yeah, 2003.
So she saw you and your disease. She had the dad that's in and out of prison.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like? Because I can only imagine as a kid wants dad, but when they're younger, maybe they don't really know what's happening, right? But then as they get older, they kind of get a little bit more idea, right? Of dad is always gone. Dad said he's not going to go back, goes back, whatever it is, right? Very broken relationship, push and pull. How were you able to mend that relationship? Because, one, you're like, man, I got to focus on me. I got to stay sober, figure out how to even just exist. But also, but remember, you also have a daughter. You can't just put her on the back burner. How did you
I would
rebuild
say
that?
Throughout my disease and my prison terms with that little girl, I wrote, and she kept letters and cards and pictures and all this stuff that I send home, and I put on all these things of how different and how I'm going to change and how I'm gonna be there for her, man. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I get out and it'd be the same old thing, man. And like, by the time I got out and she was 4, and like she didn't know who I was, like she really didn't know who her dad was, like I went in and did it a few years, and I get out and I see her, and like she doesn't know who her dad is. She's not running up to me with open arms. But it's like any good addict, man. I can manipulate all that love back into your arms, and I can be there, and I can buy you gifts, and then one day I tuck you into bed, and I say that I'll be right back, and I don't show back up for another few more years.
Wow.
And I get out, and once again, this little girl today. So you don't realize the hurt and the brokenness that you cause, the effect that you cause on these people around you. Like you don't like. I'm a selfish and self-centered, addict and alcoholic, and so like here I am, and I don't know the effect that I'm doing, and then I get out, and what I do the same thing again, right? Then I get out, man, and I know this is that I'm in a county jail, and I came from upstate back down, fighting this case for some other charges, and I'm in this, county jail, and I know this is that my mom somehow brought my daughter to the county jail to see me.
How old is she at this point around your daughter?
5, 6, about the same age as my son right now. And I just know when I came out there into that, the visiting area of LACJ, and I know this is that I was mad. I was angry, dude, at my mom. How could you bring her to see me, like this, right? And she puts her little small hand on that piece of glass, and I put my hand right there. And my mom said something I'll never forget, man. And she says, "This little girl loves you no matter what." And for a person who doesn't love himself no matter what, it's hard to accept that somebody else to love you no matter what. And I didn't think nothing of it, man. And I'm gonna tell you that she loved me no matter what, no matter how many years in prison I did, no matter how bad my disease was, no matter like what I bought her or what I couldn't buy her, no matter if I was taking her around in a stolen car, because it was never my car, so most of the time it was a stolen car, like it was or a family member's car, or taking it and just doing the best we can, and like, man, and like what happens is that I get sober, right? I go to this treatment facility, and for the first year, I don't talk to nobody. I literally have to unlearn, a good year. I'm away from everything, man, and just.
And this is the time you stood sober, right? Is like
this is
so
now.
First year,
the first year, man. Like I stayed sober. Like I literally locked myself up and did what I was told, man.
Mm-hmm.
And
And how old was your daughter when you got out? Around?
8 or 9,
Okay, so when you got okay.
8 or 9 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't accept him with open arms. She didn't, she didn't trust me, and she had every reason, right,
Mm-hmm.
But I learned a set of skills here, and that people would tell me things like, you have to show up when you tell her you're going to show up, and that's the very start, man. As I just started saying that when I was going to be there, I was going to be there, no matter what. And you got to figure too, like I didn't have no car, or I didn't have no. First of all, I wasn't even able to get a driver's license or have a car, so I was public transportation,
Mm-hmm.
and that means planes. I mean that means like bus and Metrolink and
Right.
a train and a bus, to go see her for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I take another 4 hour ride back up to the treatment facility I was at on a pass, and because I said I'd be there, and then I just started spending time with her, man, and that's all. I just started spending time, man.
How long would you say during that season when you got out, and now they said you learned this lesson of show up no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I don't care if it's a 4 hour bus ride there for 20 minutes, you're showing up,
Mm-hmm.
right? How long would you say it took for her to kind of start to like open her arms to you again? Because sometimes people.
I'm gonna tell you, it took a good few years.
Okay.
It took a good few years, and she might have trusted me on a little bit of a
Mm-hmm.
scale, but I'm gonna tell you, like it took a few years
Mm-hmm.
before she stopped calling me and was like, are you on your way? Are you almost here? Where you at? Give me your location.
Of
Like
course, I get it.
like
Yeah.
and to where I deserve that. And
Mm-hmm.
it took it's not it took some time.
Mm-hmm.
It took some time, for all that,
Mm-hmm.
and
What helped you be patient through that process? Because sometimes people might get right, because we can get very selfish, right, and get
yeah.
mad at the person
We
for.
can get mad at all the surrounding situations
Mm,
of who she's living with. She's not
mm,
with me. I could
mm,
do better.
right.
This and that. Blah 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 blah. And I just stopped. Like it says in the book. I just ceased fighting anyone and anything, bro. And I just and like I really focused on the 12 steps, and that and when I was in there, and when I got out of there 18 months later, like my sole focus was AA. And I just think that if I put those same principles that I learned into every aspect of my life, and every aspect of my life, man, and whether it was work and my relationships and relationship with your mother, the daughter, your father, all this stuff, man, is like I literally threw this one principle, and it's the main, is I just started, and that's love, dog. And it was just like I just had to think of me less and think of them more,
Mm-hmm.
and so I remember the first, I went to her first, I went to this first little daughter daughter dad dance, with her, and and I was loving it, man. I still have the pictures of it, and I was able to, and how distance and how you actually wanted to connect, but you just felt like, you just felt like there wasn't, like that. It was like a little short circuit, like, like she was like watching me, because she was scared on the inside that, that once again, I was not going to come back,
Right. I think as a lot of people, right, we're afraid to open up our hearts to someone who's already hurt us,
Mm-hmm.
because once I give you my heart, now I risk you hurting me again. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's better to kind of close off to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just built up, man. And then I just built up. I just started. I literally had no other life skills. Like I didn't have. I ran the streets my whole life. I've been in prison. I hung around the people. I had, and getting out of a treatment and starting to hang out with his daughter. I had to learn new things to do. And so I started hanging out with people with daughters, and I started, at the same time, I had to participate in my recovery. So like my daughter got to go, like she, I didn't want to be, here I am bettering my life, and to me, like, and someone said, well, why don't you just take your daughter with you, you know?
Mm.
And damn, I had to take her to, like, I take her to these meetings, and I take her maybe on these panels when I spoke, and I just take her around to like these places. I fed the homeless we did like for like 5 years straight, man, with her, and I take her with me. I just take her with me, man. And I just continue to just take her with me, because that's all I knew. That's all when I got here. That's all I really knew about life, is just that thing, and I threw in this recovery way, man. And like I went to this meeting, and it was at the beach, and it was on Sunday mornings, and like, man, I myself had to learn new, ways to live, and I picked up, surfing and trying to surf. Like at first, like I went out there, just made a fool of myself, but like I put my daughter in a surf school, so where I was at the meeting, she was getting surf lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and then every Sunday that we went there, she'd get a surf lesson, and I go to a meeting, and then
And how was she at these meetings in the homeless?
dude, she was just happy to be with her dad. She loved it, man.
That's
It was
cool.
nothing. We just
That's
and what it is we start, it was very important. I think that I call it table time or car time with the people you love. That intimacy you
yeah.
get, when you're in a car, the conversations on long car rides, and the
Mm-hmm.
intimacy when you're eating dinner and together like
Mm-hmm.
that. We started building this relationship, and I just started building up. When I tell you I was gonna be there, I was gonna be there, and like when she needed something, I had her when I get and I just, and to this day, man, and my relation, another relationship, and went a little harsh, I got into relationships, and and I she's getting into high school, and and like and so we fought a little bit in that area, and then like and then she graduates high school and she goes to college, and to this day, man, like there was man, like like when me and my daughter, when I go out, man, that like we can sit there and just not do nothing and watch a sunset, man, or and just go have a conversation, go share that intimacy at a table,
Mm.
and share about our life, and it's just like
Was she when you got out of prison and you started building that relationship with her, like you said, like the long 4 hour transitions and all that to get there? Was she holding back and saying "I love you, Dad," or was she still saying it right away?
it took her a while.
Do you remember that the time when she first said it again?
I know I don't exactly
Yeah.
remember when,
Mm.
dude, but it probably was more in a text before it was
Mm.
ever, and I think a lot of it at first is that she wouldn't say nothing at first. She was
Mm.
more like, like maybe did it at being courteous, or
Mm.
like give a hug and stuff like that. But as time goes by, like that changes, that
Mm.
changes,
Mm.
and yeah.
Something you said too that I want to speak on. I think it's important, like you said, right? Because you said like when you got out of prison, you're like, dude, I don't got a job. I don't got any skill sets,
Mhm.
got no education. All I know is the streets and prison, right? I don't know how to be a dad. Like you're coming in and you were saying how like you were hanging out with other dads with had daughters. Um, how did you find that helpful for you? Like, because again, right, that's a struggle too. Okay, I know I have a daughter, I know what I got to do, but I don't know how to be a dad.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like? How do I talk? How do I move? I don't know, right? And sometimes insecurities could come up when
Oh
you
yeah.
have a kid and you see other dads, right? And you compare them to you, and you're like,
Yeah.
So like, what made you realize I just need to go hang out with other dads and learn from them? And how was that helpful for you?
I I really think that when it came down to everything from that moment, I mean, in being in a treatment facility and going in there from the life I had just really got me to a place of I was just done. Like I surrendered. And I know that, like, for a lot, for a guy like me who didn't have no skills, that the only way I was going to learn was through the experience of others. And so the experience of others, of me hanging out with people and seeing that example of how they treat their kids, and how their kids, or how they treated with their kids under pressure, not under pressure, a person that's in the program, doing the meetings, and going to work and spending time with his kids, and all this stuff, is that I just had these examples of people, and that's what they were doing. And 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 I think that's for everything in life, man. From that point, like I literally had no skills whatsoever. Like I jobs. I started working. I went to an agency because I was a parolee. I got a job through an agency making like $4 an hour, but I was happy, man. I was so happy, and I woke up, man, and it's something about this that I learned the structure for life, this accountability for myself, but just of just waking up, making my bed, brushing my teeth. I wasn't into prayer and all this stuff. I literally would get up and be out the door in 15 minutes, like literally wake up, get dressed, out the door, on my
Mm.
bike, walking, or whoever, out the door, waking up the other guys there, getting them ready, you know what I'm saying, and helping them out. And like, and you don't know where all this stuff is leading, like, at the time. I just know that even in prison, you know, as I was in a cell living, is that they had this routine, and I had a routine in there, right? And my routine in prison was I worked in the kitchen at a time, for a long stretch, and and it was a lockdown. We were in lockdown for a couple years, but I remember this is that I get woke up every day like 3:30 a.m., 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Gates cracked, right? And I go my ass would be up and I'd be ready, and I'd go to work, and I come back from work and I would work out, right? And then I maybe take a nap, and then I go to dinner, and I come back, I read, and then I do the same thing, and that repetitive cycle, and I wasn't used to, when I was on the streets, I didn't have no program or no repetitive cycle or no structure, but in prison I had structure. And that's what really made the time go by. So here I am now. I'm in a treatment facility, and I finally made it past the point to where I'm able to go out and work, and they start giving me a little bit more, and it's just a structured thing. I start learning some structure, and that same routine sort of that I had in prison is sort of like a basic model of a routine that I had when I got out, and I'm still waking up at 3:30, 4 a.m. I'm going to work. I'm coming back. I'm working out. I'm taking a nap, maybe, working out, going to meet, and still to this day, man, and still to this day, it's a very basic routine of life, and it doesn't matter, like, that's a routine. I got these routines, and and having to learn, and I just, like, I literally just, I just stopped fighting everything, man. I really, that's like it. I stopped complaining. I stopped bitching. I stopped whining. I stopped thinking that I know a better way. I stopped. I had to literally forget everything that I thought I knew about living life, and learn new ways to live in every aspect of my life. And a lot of times your mind's telling you, like, it's because your mind's telling you, no, you know better. You gotta, your ego gets a hold of you, and it's like, and it's telling you, like, no, man, no, do it this way, man. And I have to let these people I might not even know, maybe not even like, and they're showing me, man, a new way to do something, man. And here I am, man. And that goes for, I'm waking up, and these people that I met, man, I was there, and I meet them at the warehouse. I worked in this warehouse, straight sweatshop, and I met this guy there, man. And he's like, I'll pick you up in the mornings, and he picked me up and dropped me off every single day, man. Right, you know. He was just a nice guy. I met this guy, man, and I get, and I start meeting people that were just genuine. I meet these guys when I was there, man, and they were just shining, and they were just good people, man. Just good people. They don't want, hey, you know what, man, Garrett, one time they'd be like, there's going to come a point in your life, if you stay, that you're going to be in the same position I'm in to be able to help somebody. And I hope that, man, that you just help them.
Do you feel
oh, man, to this day, man, I mean, like, I every now and then an opportunity comes, and like, and I hope maybe I get a message off social media from the persons and stuff like that, and it's just, thank you, man. It's just like, because I am now in the position, and it keeps on getting better, man, to be able to reach my hand back down in there, that people used to come to this treatment center, and the panels would come, and I was thirsty, man. See, I was thirsty, man. I'm still thirsty. I'm still, I still only know a little here, man. I still have to shred off I still got character defects that I'm working on. I am not perfect by no means, man. And I'm gonna tell you, these people were just kind souls, man. Good human beings. And they were just good examples. And they were the example that were so good that I just was attracted to them. And I got to hang around with them long enough that their way that they were living life just wore off on me, man. And then 6 months later, or a year later, man, like that, yeah, that it was like ingrained. It was like, it's like a puppy hanging out with an older dog. Like, you have your older dog. It's well, it knows where to sit. It knows where to, and it just obeys. Then you have this little puppy, and it's a terrorizer, man. It's just, but as the puppy gets older, it starts picking up. It starts sitting where the mature dog, it just starts acting like that dog with no bark intended, right? And now it was with me. I just started hanging out with people, man. Like people would do some stuff so, man, majorly big. Like I'd be like, man, I can like find like I can never pay you back. But they'd be like, one day you'll be able to do it. They believed in me.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's they believed in me, man.
Before you believed in
I had
yourself.
that I had that counselor in that treatment facility, man. And she knows who she is, man. Like she said, Garrett, man, you're a good speaker, man. You are a good speaker. You should go speak. And I see, I didn't have no education. I didn't know how to like my words stuttered. Like I did not believe in myself. I did not have that faith that somebody else may see them sitting in, like, like I didn't believe in myself. I didn't know. I can't, man. Like I don't want to, man. I'm not here for that. And she just saw the leader, just the voice that she knew that maybe she saw me enough when I was inside these groups and this treatment center, the passion I had behind this program of the 12 steps, and that how much that it just lights me up, and it really makes me like this, like grateful for life, man. Like she saw this in me. And today, man, like, and I'm gonna tell you, like I like that passion, that love you got, man, that you find here, or that enough stuff gets uncovered and brings it out, and it's that enthusiasm, that damn enthusiasm, man. And I'm gonna tell you, like and for any and everybody that comes in, man, I hope and that you're enthusiastic about living life, about beginning life, about being able to for new opportunities that are to come. Like I hope that you don't lose enthusiasm. Like I have not, like my enthusiasm just gets greater and greater as opportunities come from doing things like this, and the people I meet and the message I put out, man, like that enthusiasm. And they say that when you break down enthusiasm and like Greek words is like one with God. And what it is that I found something here that I didn't know about, man, from doing this work, man, that has just like gave me something worth living for, man. That's life, man. It has given me something like a passion to be able to be a good person, to do better, to constantly grow mentally, spiritually, and physically, man. And I continue, man. Like continue. It's not like I got it. It's continue. It's continue. It's not about getting there. It's not about like all of a sudden you have like, oh man, I arrived. I boom. I got the cars, the job, the house, all this stuff. You got now what? Now what, man? I seen the one thing, man. The one thing I see that scares me to death the most, dude. The one thing, man, and that scares me the most. And the one thing I seen most people go out, no matter that they go out the most over, man, is a life. Because they get a life here. And the next thing they know, that once they get a life, they're too busy to do anything that gave them that life.
Yeah.
And it's scary, man.
How do you remind yourself to like, I have a blessed life, but I still got to remember where I came from.
Bro, like they say, man, look, man, you got to know that like recovery and life is two different things. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to make how could I, for the program that it's given me a life beyond my wildest dreams, and for me to be like, all right, cool, I'm done with you. Thanks for giving me everything, and to leave it behind. Like I like that routine. My routine every morning is a routine that reminds me of what's the most important, man. Right, my recovery. God, you know what I'm saying? Like it, and because everything is, because that's just I have to stay grounded. If I'm just here, it's other being other. It's my main purpose is that, man. And I don't ever want to have my life so big. It's like that my AA gets smaller. Like my life has to grow. My life will grow. My AA has to grow. Now you have to grow, and I'm gonna tell you, the more time you get, the harder it is to do. It is the harder. Like what am I? Like it's work, and it takes effort, man. Just like anything in life, man. And I'm gonna tell you, man, like it and over everything, like that. It's a lot of effort, man. a lot of effort. It's still, just have to, I, I can't explain it, man. I just know that, man. Like, please don't let life take you out, man.
Yeah, my sponsor used to tell me something. He goes, I'm always scared for the people that become circuit speakers and start putting themselves in the public in recovery, because a lot of people can get blind with that life, like the pressure that comes with it, or temptation and whatever it is, right? Everyone, you're in the spotlight, and he's like, you got to be so careful. Like you said, right? The more time you got, further away you are from your disease, how long it's been, life gets busy, you get nice things. I always feel like the enemy, that's when the enemy likes to get us the most. He goes, oh, I know how to get you when your life is good.
Swoop right in.
Yeah, just come in. I always say the enemy can look like God in your life and get you like that.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I love that. So for you're rebuilding a relationship with your daughter, right? We learned that. We learned about how you went from being institutionalized, it's how to work through that, right? Get back into society. You fully surrender, right? You're seeking God. You're looking at people, what they're doing now in these healthy ways, right? You have people show you genuine love and saying one day you're going to do that, right? And it makes sense why you do that for others, right? Because I always say, like, $10 can go a long way for someone who has no money versus you giving $1,000 to somebody who has a lot of money, right? It could go a long way, right? And for you, right, it's life-changing. Man, when you don't have a car and someone say, I'll pick you up and take you, and they don't make you feel bad, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, because that 30-minute drive that we do in a car with somebody back and forth to save me freaking 4 hours that way, 4 hours that way, right? So for you, aside from building a relationship with your daughter, then you have 2 more kids, right? 2 more boys. But these 2 boys you had in recovery, right? Okay, so now we're building a relationship with your daughter. Now you got more kids. You said that also that your mom was there throughout the whole disease. How did you rebuild your relationship with her? What was that like?
With both my parents, my mom and my dad. Like, I didn't talk to my dad for like, 17 years.
And why was that with him?
And just my addiction. I went out. I left that family. It was good. I just felt like when I was into my disease, that I ran from that whole family.
Why'd you run from them but not your mom?
My mom was in the disease too.
Okay.
My mom's my mom was in the disease with me. I'm a mama's boy. I was raised by my mom. And so, like, and I had the opportunity to go stay with my dad and probably have a lot different life than I had, but I stayed with my mom, and my mom, like, I mean, and from there I just took off and come back. I take off and come back, and I'm gonna say that like, even like I said, that first year in treatment, and for the next like year and a half, I didn't even talk to my mom, And my dad came into my life, and my daughter was staying at my dad's house, and this yearning that I just wanted that relationship with my dad. It came a point in my life where I just, whatever it was, like, I wanted to talk to my dad. I just wanted to be in his presence, and just like with my daughter, man, I showed up when I was going to show up, and I went there to for the holidays, and I just started showing up, and I started just doing things with my dad, and I built this great relationship up with him, and and then he passed away, and it was like, you know
How much time did you get with him when you got out?
8 years.
So you got 8 years with him?
8 years with him. 8 years with him. And like, it was just like, man, I'm so grateful I got those 8 years with him. I'm so grateful for the conversations, for that, for everything that, for every moment that I had, man. And you only wish one more thing. I only wish one thing. I only wish I had more time. I wish I would have spent more, done more, seen more with him.
Was he very open to you when you came back in his life?
He was. My dad was a very, 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 very nice gentleman. Very, very good dad. And yeah, he loved his son. He loved seeing me, and I loved hearing his voice and his canter, and him, and stuff, and you really were like, damn, I'm like my dad. And so and now and then, in a blink of an eye, it just goes. And with my mom, I went and saw her. I was out of treatment, and I was had my own, rented a room, and and I really was missing my mom. I wanted to see, like, I sort of like had to separate myself from but I really wanted to see my mom, and I ended up going out to her trailer that she was at one night, and I was at this like, AA dance or NA dance, and I ended up going out later that night, and I went and saw my mom for the first time, and I saw my mom briefly. She met me at the Metrolink station when I was in treatment, and Christmas, and I gave me a present. And I gave her a hug, and I loved my mom, and my mom was getting a stent put in her heart, and she was at the hospital, and I had my son, and I went to go pick her up, and my mom was more, she didn't talk much, for whatever reason, she's probably a lot like me, right? And but I know that when my son went out the door of that hospital, and by this time I have about 3 years, you know, 4 years, somewhere in there. And my son runs out, and I chase him down the hallway, and I pick him up, and I turn around, and I see my mom. I see my mom's big, beautiful eyes looking down the hallway at us, and like for a long time, I never, and I caught that my eyes and my mom's eyes locked, and I just felt like she was just so proud of who she saw for once in her life, man. And she gave me a big old hug, and I never got, even though my mom was out there, and I never asked her if she was like, I never put like big old decisions, or and like I never was like, oh, if you're not sober, I'm not going to see you. If you don't, like she lived however she was going to live. It wasn't my response, I lived how I was going to live.
Mm.
But that was my mom, so I always made time to go out there and let her so she can see her kids. I talked to her on the phone, and my relationship with my mom was just as good, and it was just loving. And I saw, man, I am just before she passed away too, man. Because she passed away 11 months later
After your dad?
after my dad.
Okay.
And heart, like it's like it's if you don't have like God, like if you don't like
Yeah. How was that for you?
it
And
was
how do you stay
hard.
sober
It
through
was
that?
it was just, man, like that, dealing with those emotions, and
Yeah.
like just thrown, like I just I walked through it, man. You just walk through it. You cry, you're sad, but you get through it, man.
Did you lean on your community a lot?
I
Did it
leaned
for
on
you?
my community. For a little bit, I just locked I go about my routine, you know. And I come home, and I really want to eat dinner, and I just cry myself to sleep, and I
Mm-hmm.
wake up a couple hours later, I cry some more. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like,
Yeah, just feeling it.
like it just, and you just get through it, man. It's you're sad. Like it's sad. I didn't want to drink. I never thought about taking a drink, and I just walked through it, man. You know, and I had so many of those. Like I went, so I loved going and visiting my mom. I went, and I saw her just before she passed. It was like the Christmas before she passed away, and and like for the first year, she got like some Christmas presents for me and for her grandkids, and I took her out, and I always went and picked her up and took her out to eat, or take her to a fall festival, or take her to the just all these places with horses, because my mom loved horses, and like, man, I just see her smile, man. Like it was nothing that she never, like my dad or my mom or my sisters or my daughter, like they never had to say it, man. They just you could see it in their eyes at how grateful they were to have me in their lives, you know. And and like, man, and walking through that stuff at the end, and it's still, and it gets easier throughout time, when your parents, pass away. When we're very close to them, we rebuild that relationship with them, and like, 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 and you like, really grow up. You really look at yourself different, and how my parents were young, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and and I just looked at how they were living, and I just want to, and what kind of, parent you want to be like when your kids get
Mm-hmm.
older, and I have these two boys, I'm a full-time dad to my youngest,
Mm-hmm.
and I just love, someone told me, they said everything that I was missing, or that maybe was, that hurt me in the inside, like all this stuff of growing up. I didn't grow up, but like I grew up and straight chaos and like, my mom was an addict and an alcoholic and a broken home with lots of guys and lots of fight and lots of abuse and lots of all the stuff that like, I mean, this, all this, going on and whatever trauma that caused. I think that being able to raise a kid and share that love, is a number one healer of all of it.
Mm.
And today, man, like raising, this kid and I believe like the time with my daughter, healed a lot of it. With my middle son, wasn't so much of an impact. His mom has him and this and that, but with my third son, man, I had him since he was, just before he turned 1, and I'm gonna tell you the impact that level of unconditional love that he shows me just heals every broken piece inside me that existed, man. And it's nothing that he is, just like with the way he walks, the way he talks, or what he does, or he's just like, you're his hero, man. Ain't nothing in life more than I like to be is just someone's hero, and to them you're a hero, you know. And
That's super
and I
cool.
take and I take, like that's that program is number one, and being a good dad is second on my. I love being a dad, man.
Mhm.
I love in everything. I used to always want, man, to be able to play catch or anything with my dad. Like
Mhm.
and here I am at the park, man, and every time I'm playing catch with him, whether it's football or baseball or with soccer, man, I reflect on my relationship with my dad, and I'm just so grateful, man, for what I got, you know.
Yeah, they always say for a lot of us that grow up yearning for a father, right? We don't really have
Mm,
that father love that we wish we had. We kind of like an ideas of, "Oh, man, I wish it looked like this and that." They say that once we have kids, right, then we're able to give that, and because
mm-hmm.
we give that, it's like healing our inner child, right?
Yeah,
Because that's like us right there. Like, well, what I do, oh yeah, let's go play catch, and it's like
yeah.
it's healing yourself, which is super cool. To get to experience that. Now, before we get to the speed questions,
Oh no.
another question that I have for you too.
Yeah.
So you have three baby mamas,
Mm-hmm.
right? Three baby mamas. And from your experience, if someone's in that situation, right, whether it's three baby mamas, one baby mama, right, they're just not with them no more, like co-parenting as they call it, right? What are the do's and the don'ts of being a good co-parent?
Co-parenting is number one. Don't sleep with them. you know, I learned the hard way. And co-parenting is it's one of those things that constantly grow, and you got to constantly do an inventory on and constantly look. It's like co-parenting is a set of skills that that it's when it's good, it's good. You know,
Mhm,
and and like it's those times when, like, man, it feels so fresh. I'm so frustrated because it doesn't go my way.
mhm,
You know, and I have to let it go, man. And I just have to, I have to, I'm not in control. I have to, like, take a step back. I'm not in control, and man, everything works out fine. And then you got to have boundaries, and like, if one person, you got to, and a lot of it's just like the communication between each parent for, and being on the same, like, if she's mad at you and you're mad at her, then you're not going to be talking about the kid's interest in a way, because everything's going to be hurtful and hateful and spiteful and all this stuff. And you got to be on this neutral ground and just for the kid's best interest. And no matter how much, I think it's the number one, like when you're fourth and fifth step, and then you get to this 9 month amends, like of all this stuff you hated in her, but you had a kid with her, you know, you know. And now you got in this living amends to where you got to put all that stuff aside, and now you got to raise a kid. It doesn't matter, in spite of, it doesn't matter about all that stuff. Is that you
mhm,
do? I have to. I don't. Whatever them. I can't
mhm,
control them, but I have to be the bigger person. I have to put all that stuff aside, and I got to look out for the kid's best interest. You
mhm,
know. And that's it, man. And that's it, man. And you just gotta all that stuff. And that's the biggest form of a ninth step you can ever get, is just being like, hey, let's just do this. You can't. It's not about the money. It's not about It's not about, you know, who he lives with. It's just about spending. It's just about a kid knowing who his dad is, you know, and I just want to be a dad, you know. And the same goes for I'm on like both angles. And what about the other being the other part where I got the full custody and then I got visitation and being able to put all that stuff aside, man, and be on a neutral ground and just letting the parent man see their kid.
Did you ever have to walk through the stepdad situations?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. Because that's probably another good question for people as well,
Yeah,
right? When
yeah.
they navigating that, when
Yeah.
it's like, again, right, navigating that aspect, because you see it all the time with you
Yeah.
know, with people and stuff like that, how it is. No, I appreciate that. So for our speed questions, these ones we ask everybody, right? I'm sure the first one, before I even ask, I need to always ask this now before I
I
ask the
hope they're
question.
good speed
They're
questions.
good. So obviously you've read books probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What are 3 books that you would recommend someone to read that could completely change their life?
Enthusiasm is my number 1 book.
Who's that by?
It's called Enthusiasm. It's a red cover. I was on you know, some people, like I said, opportunities came up, and the author of the book, sent me that copy and said that my enthusiasm is, you know, is what makes the world go round. And they sent me this book called Enthusiasm, and I'm gonna tell you, man, I love that book, and it's just so like it's just enthusiasm, man. A red cover. And I read those Go Fuck You series, and you know, those were good. Those were good. I read the 12 Steps. I always read like some spiritual, you know, literature, or, you know, the 12 Steps. Like, you know, I'm in a new pair of glasses.
That's a good one.
You know, and the 4 agreements. I now they got the 5 agreements.
Yeah.
You know, I like to go over that a lot. And the thing is this, man, is that maybe just with age and stuff like that, but just read. My favorite place to go is Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
I love going to Barnes and Noble and reading, and
so peaceful.
And like it's just I just love, man. I have this big copy, and it's just a AA literature. It's called the 12 Steps, and that's what I'm reading at the moment, man. And I just read a few pages at a time, or sometimes I read more, and every now and then I go and I read that David Goggins story.
Oh,
It's you know, it's man, you're like entrapment, you know, like you get involved in that. It's good. And then you know, and
I love his book too, because you hear him talking, right? But when you read that book, you go, oh my God, he's a normal person.
Yeah.
He's not the superhuman. Like, you look at this story, what I'm like, holy crap. Like, that took him like that many times to do that. He just talks about how he did it, but look how much it actually took. It's like, wow, he really, like, this guy's whew.
Yeah. Thomas T, you know, he's a great spiritual leader out there. You know, I like listening to him, and yeah. And you know, I just I gravitate. I like books, man. So I just sort of go in there and look at these self-help books and stuff like that. And and I also got one too. You know, I had, you know, being a dad and all that stuff about, you know, fatherhood and you know, and parenting and all this stuff, man. Just to read about it, you know. And then my favorite book and the most important book that I'm in every single day is just my journal. And every single day I wake up, man, and I drink that coffee. I say, you know, I say a prayer. I read 86 through 88, and I just write, man, and I just write, and it's a write in this journal, and every single day, man. That's every single day for the past like year and a half, 2 years now, and you know, and I might even come out with my own journal. I'm thinking.
That's right.
And I just think that I didn't know. And I didn't know, I know whatever level, but like that release and that being in that what that brings, like, is just amazing, man. And you know, and then you know, and yeah, that's just like game changer right there, dude.
I love that. My next question is, what was one mindset shift that completely changed your life?
A mindset shift that changed my life. I was in a flag football, AA flag football tournament thing, and we got in a big old fight, and like I chased this guy down. Sort of, he was running. We were all just fighting, but I hit this guy, and like I literally, like, it was like slow motion Matrix stuff. I saw like my fist to his face, you know, twice, and afterwards, And in the moment, yeah, it's all good. But later on, when I laid my head down at night, man, and stuff like that, I was like, man, I didn't never want to hit somebody again. And so, like I like it took me like, it was like 3 years, and it took 3 years into my sobriety and like that old behavior, if I'm bigger, I'm louder, I'm stronger, you can't tell me nothing type thing, and it's just like, and I don't want to live like that. And I don't want to live like that no more. And so that perception of I just want to be cool, calm, collective, and be quiet. I don't need to be right,
Mm.
and just I don't need to argue. I don't want to participate in argumentative situations or be in a battle of who's right and who's wrong or who said this and who said that. Man, you can have it all the time. I'll walk away from any of those situations, I'm not saying I won't defend myself, but I just won't hit somebody for no reason.
Yeah.
No matter how mad you make me.
Yeah.
It will. I'm not saying that the fight's always in the dog. I'm just saying that I will no longer put my hands on people, because my hands hurt people, and so it's just and like it takes what it takes to learn that stuff,
Mm. This is a funny one.
Mm.
What is the worst piece of advice someone's ever given you?
Worst piece of advice. Just go to meetings.
Meeting makers make it.
Meeting makers make it, man.
Yeah. And why is that terrible advice?
Because there's just so much more to than just meetings. Meetings is just meetings. It's good for the head, but it's not good for the soul,
Yeah. Yeah, we say meetings kind of like that's where we socialize.
Yeah. Well, meetings
In a
is just
sense.
good. It's good to meetings that socialize, that fraternation, meetings to hear a message. That's it's just a good way to check in, to get your voice to quiet down, to minimize. And if you're not going to enough meetings, this is going to get very loud. But the real work is the inside out. You know what I'm saying? So you have to get into that.
Yeah.
That personal stuff,
And then for my final question, let's say we have somebody today that just got out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of relationships they got to mend. No education, just like you, right? Imagine that person that was you, right? And they're like, okay, cool, that's cool, but I'm not like Garet. Garet probably just has something I don't have. He's probably more courageous than me. Look how he looks. He's just stronger, whatever it is, right? We think that, right? We think he can, but I can't. Even though they're in the same situation like you. If you had 1 minute with this person that's feeling hopeless, what would you want to tell them?
Follow me. That's it. Follow me. I don't need to say nothing. Just follow me. If you're willing to follow me, I could show you a new way to live. I can be an example. Sometimes I think people just need a good example in their life.
And that's so true, right? Sometimes it's, let me show you. Let's hang out.
Who's your circle? What are you hanging out with? I know when I got out of prison, my circle of people I was hanging out with was the people that belonged in prison. And so there's many guys to this day, that I just hey, follow me. You can bitch, complain, just follow me, man. Yeah, your perception of life will change. Once your perception of life changes, that you just have to put yourself in a some people just need a good example. You need somebody to inspire you, a good example to follow. And so many people just don't want to step out of that. Maybe it's just hard. I mean, like it's where we live and where we grew up, and we're just so and it's just a good example. Man, follow me. Let me just hang out with me, man. Let me be an example for you.
What's cool about that too? That's what Jesus did. Hey, just follow me.
Yeah, just follow.
Simple as that. Just follow me. That's what he told his disciples. Just follow me. Don't ask questions. I don't need to know. Just follow me.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's so powerful. And I think that is the best way. I think a lot of times something my mentor taught me was, don't expect them to reach out to you. You reach out to them. You be the bigger person. Because a lot of those people are shy, insecure, scared. So be the bigger person and go, hey, come with me. Right. So I love that. So Garet, where can people follow you at? What are your socials?
Garet McLendon, Garet. McLendon's my last name. IG, Facebook. That's it. Come follow me.
That's right. You can find him on all over YouTube, Instagram. He's got more podcasts he's going on right now, guys. He's just a good person, like you said.
Mindset Recovery. Don't forget about Mindset Recovery.
That's right. Mindset Recovery. I'm rocking the shirt. And what's the treatment center? Where's it at?
Mindset Recovery. It's in Van Nuys, California. We're here to help, man. So if you have a loved one or a family friend or something like that that's looking for help or needs help, man, please reach out.
I love that. But yeah, and I appreciate you coming all the way from LA, deep LA, right? What part of LA you from?
Santa Clarita.
Yeah, Santa Clarita. Okay, he's by Six Flags. So yeah. So guys,
awesome town.
Yeah. They got Six Flags, right? But I heard Six Flags is shutting down, so you're gonna have nothing. But I appreciate you making that long drive out here, sharing your time here, being who you are, and I just appreciate everything you do for me and for the people.
Thank you, man. Thank you.